All right, so today we're going to talk about why you need to stop checking in and start checking on what your pipeline cares about. So we're going to be discussing first why the buyer's reason for waiting tells you what to send next. Second, how non-sales follow-up actually moves the sales conversation forward. And third, why the first conversation should become your follow-up plan.
Build your dream today. We show you the way. Luxury leads come to play. New homes here to stay. Marketing's our game. Elevate your name. Reach for the fame. Never just the same. We're the iconic agent. New construction's our lane. Teaching you the secrets for luxury gains. Digital wave we ride. Strategies we provide. No need to hide. Success is on your side. Close deals like a pro. Watch your profits grow. High standards we show. Feel that golden glow. We're the iconic agent. New construction's our lane. Teaching you the secrets for luxury gains. Digital wave we ride. Strategies we provide. No need to hide. Success is on your side. Close deals like a pro. Watch your profits grow. High standards we show. Feel that golden glow. We're the iconic agent. New construction's our lane. Teaching you the secrets for luxury gains.
All right. Hello, Mr. Crawford, you there? Yes, you are.
Sir.
Perfect. All right, let's get this show on the road. All right, so here's how these calls work. If this is your first time here, these are the to do and what's working. If you're looking for the step-by-step how, support interactive conversation where it's a two-way or three-way conversation where we'll have a conversation with you, answer questions, you want to join the new home marketing insider community. It's the what to do, how to do it with support, Q&A, and monthly virtual training and resources. So if you're new here, we're the founders of the Iconic Agent. I am Damon Green, and
I'm Nathaniel Crawford.
we've been helping agents attract buyers and sell more new construction since 2017 to the tune of well over an additional $400 million in additional sales since we started tracking around 2020. So these calls are no gatekeeping. We're telling you what's working from our experience, from our clients' experience. This isn't theory. We're giving you what we're actually doing. If you're looking for the archives and resources, if you caught this towards the end or you want to see what else we have to offer, you can go to theIconicAgent.com/tune-up. You can listen and watch each week, plus download the 2 deliverables every single week, actually 3 if you want to include the video. You get a mind map, which structures everything, and then you also get an infographic you can take, print out, put on your desk, and go implement, because we're giving you implementable strategies. If you have questions, you can wait and join the free monthly AMA coaching call, which is the last Tuesday of every month. Or if you'd like to ask now, you can go into the new construction marketing Insider, we have 24/7 access to questions, answers, coaching, case studies, training, resources, and tools. You can access that over at theIconicAgent.com/insider. If you are in Atlanta, we are doing our next AI Marketing Foundations, where you will build your buyer intelligence blueprint live. If you're not sure what the buyer intelligence blueprint is, that makes sense, because 90% of people using AI and agents in general don't use this. But once you have your blueprint, it is ridiculous what you can do. We had the last one last Thursday. Went great. It's a very intimate event. We only have a handful of people that we allow in there. It's super reasonable. It's only $47. But it's a 2-hour training where we'll walk you through the entire process, and you'll be blown away by what you'll create. So if you go over to theIconicAgent.com/foundations, you can grab your ticket there. So today's topic, pipeline follow-up. We're not going to call it follow-up anymore. Let's cross that out because it's a mindset shift. Pipeline outreach. So we're going to talk about why the buyer's reason for waiting tells you what to say next, how non-sales follow-up actually moves sales along based on interest-based outreach, different than what we talked about last week, which was interest-based marketing and intent-based marketing. This is interest-based outreach. And then why the first conversation should become your follow-up plan, or the first conversations. And it's all about listening. So here's the old belief. Follow-up means bothering my pipeline and checking in until they buy and they're ready, which there's some truth to that. Now, the consideration, follow-up, again, we're not using that word. Outreach means staying useful by sending information connected to what the prospect really cares about. So here's the shift, simple mindset shift. You go from the friction of follow-up where there's resistance. I hear it all the time with agents. I know I should be following up, but I don't want to bother them and I don't really know what to send. So we're going from that to I'm reaching out with value and something they'll find useful and relevant. And even if they don't buy ever, they're going to remember me, and that's where referrals open up. So let me drop off the share. And now, Mr. Crawford, we are just going to walk through the conversation. So we just talked about the belief and general follow-up. Nate, what's the general follow-up that the average agents follow up with prospects or clients? What's the average?
Yeah, well, market updates. That's the big one. Like the most popular thing agents send. If you look at a lot of CRMs out there, the Lofties or used to be Chime, Follow Up Boss, a lot of those places, yeah, they'll automatically send you property alerts or send people property alerts based on their criteria. So it's generic. It is not particularly valuable to someone who has articulated why they don't want to buy right now. It's just sending them, random information.
So it's personal, sort of, but it's less personal.
Yep. Yeah, and that's part of the challenge there, right? So what you want to be doing when you're sending follow-up is that follow-up, even if it's a series, right? Or even if it's a combination of things, that follow-up needs to be relevant to your last conversation with them, not just relevant to a small portion of that. And what sending property alerts generally does is it just gives them a reason to sort of click through properties. What you want to make sure is that you're sending them follow-up based on whatever your last conversation with them was. So one of the examples I know you and I talked about the other day is there's somebody in the program talking to this client of theirs who's looking for a $2 million condo.
Matter of fact, let me do this. I'm going to read the message so there's context. There's no name in here, so it's not going to know who it's from. But I want to read this because we were walking and talking. So let me see. Oh wow. All right, hey person. Hope your summer's going well and doing well. Was out of town last week. Our situation, realistically, we don't think we can buy until we're ready to spend more than a couple months a year. So let's say 3-year plan. Don't want to lock up assets right now. Maybe a long shot, but if rentals open up at the specific building in January, February, we definitely grab it. So be on the lookout for us. We'll pay a premium on 2-month rental in an upscale condo, dog friendly, waterfront ideally, or South Beach, places where we'd actually buy. So that's the conversation. So now that you have the context of that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that buyer may be under the impression that they need to spend till $2 million right now. And that
Was the
may
price
not
point.
be the case if, oh, well, if the outlay is the problem, then a 3-year timeline is ideal for pre-construction. So then you can take that buyer and say, hey, well, I know you're thinking you need to spend $2 million today for a condo that you're not going to use for 3 years. What if I told you that it wouldn't take you but $200,000 today to lock in a condo that'll be brand new when you're ready to move, and you might have some equity in that too? That becomes a different conversation. But that conversation has to be rooted in you having a clear understanding of what their goals are.
So to level set this here, this is a level lower, or let's say level higher than the initial follow-up. Like if you just have a massive pipeline, we talk about the lifestyle follow-up. This is a level higher where you've actually had conversation, you have an idea, you understand what these people are. This is more concierge feel. So I just wanted to level set that. This isn't like 10,000 people in your database and you know each one. You're still sending those, which you can go back to previous tune-up episodes where we talk about that. This is folks that you've had some level of engagement with, whether they bought or not, touching them where they raised their hand a little bit, like this individual here, never bought anything, was looking to buy something, but she knows a lot about him. So because they've had conversations.
This is you updating your CRM. Because if you have 10,000 people in your CRM and you are making notes every time you talk to those people, then when you're sitting down for your power hour to do your calls, to reach out to those people in your CRM, you can look at those notes and then send them relevant information, right? The property alerts to me are a really easy way to keep somebody in your search universe. So that's an easy way to keep them off Zillow and keep them from going down rabbit holes in other places. But that's just one piece of that. You want to make sure that you are letting them know that it's you, that you are still occupying the real estate space in their brain, because to your point earlier, Damon, when that person decides, oh, well, I'm not going to buy in Miami, they move on to something else, but you still occupy the real estate space in their brain. When someone else says to them, hey, I'm thinking about getting a place in Miami, you are still their person. And they'll refer you business because you have occupied the space in their brain when it comes to real estate. So making sure that you're not just firing off property alerts and you're building a meaningful rapport with them by letting them know you actually listened to what they were saying and what their true goals are, can help you really build that rapport.
You nailed it. You actually listened. So when we talk about interest-based outreach, Nate just alluded to that. So what is that? It's based on the buyer's interest. And then Nate has a few examples he'll give. I've got a couple examples I'll give. But if you're listening, as Nate said, what were the buyer's concerns? Like in this email here, there's a bunch to unpack. Well, they're looking to pay a premium for 2 months to rent a condo waterfront in Fort Lauderdale or maybe South Beach in the area they'd want to live. So that's automatically going to give a premium of X. So you get an idea of what they're spending. So the one, start looking for that. But also what Nate said was, well, hey, if you're going to drop $50,000, you can drop 200 and then hold off and wait. And then 3 years, you own the spot. So now you're not paying a premium. You've got equity. If you're like, hey, this is a good deal, we could sell it. Like you can have those scenarios because you listen. So understand the buyer's concerns and the buyer's goals. That's what we mean by interest-based outreach. So the triggers. So Nate, help me out with this one here. So triggers around this. When I say triggers, I don't mean triggers in a bad way. I mean, these are things that should be like, ooh, okay. So what's the problem behind the problem? And Nate, we talked about that where, somebody will, what's the real problem? What would have normally stopped the conversation, but because you were listening, you can dig deeper and really figure out what the real issue is. And then how can you take what would normally stop the conversation and it start another one? So can you dive into that? Like continuing the conversation based on what somebody says and what they mean? I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah. Well,
insinuation.
but I think that example we used earlier is a very good example of that. So someone saying, I don't want to move right now because I don't want to tie up $2 million worth of capital is really them saying, well, I haven't found anything, and I think the only way that I can buy something is to spend $2 million. When those aren't true, that's not a true statement. When you can say to them, well, hey, you don't have to spend $2 million today. We can get you in a pre-construction opportunity for a fraction of that, that allows you to pick out the place you want to be, gives you the real possibility for a bunch of upside as far as equity, and reduces that amount of capital that you got to put out. And in many cases, we're having those conversations with people who are business owners, with people who are entrepreneurs, they're founders. So a lot of that initial cash outlay is coming out of cash flow that's coming in. So in many ways, this isn't them thinking they have to, this is them thinking they have to pull a bunch of money out of savings, when in actuality, it can be them just having to pull some money out of their monthly cash flow to get to the unit that they're interested in. And when you layer on top of that engagement that actually lets them know that you're paying attention. So for example, I have a client that works in microfinance, right? So he does stuff on the continent of Africa, where they do these micro loans of 20, 30, $50, that type of thing. So whenever I see articles about those things, if I'm reading the USA Today or the Miami Herald or something like that, I will cut out those articles and put them in a little card. And I have my cards here. Well, you guys can't see it yet, but I got my cards here. I can paperclip it in there and say, hey, I hope all is well. I saw this article and I thought about you. Right. So what does that do? That lets him know that not only do I understand the situation of his financial situation and what's important to him as far as cash flow and what he's looking to buy and why he's looking to buy and where that money needs to go. I also understand the business and the lifestyle that frames that current need. Right. So making sure that your follow-up is an all-encompassing follow-up. So a lot of times when we talk about lifestyle follow-up, and anyone who's been to any of our workshops, you guys know this. When we're talking about lifestyle follow-up, the generic, broad, automated follow-up can be very much the future pacing, right? The talking about the places for date nights, the cigar bars, the ice cream shops, and all of those things. And that's wonderful when we're talking about future pacing for lifestyle follow-up. But the more intentional, more high touch, more concierge driven lifestyle follow-up is what I just alluded to, the example I just gave. It's you being able to shoot them a text message with a link to an article you just read that's relevant to their business. Asking them, are they looking at the opportunities for ADUs because that they want to put, a yoga studio in their backyard, and you just read an article about those zoning changes that are coming to Orlando. So making sure that your follow-up is not just rooted in how do I get them to spend a bunch of money right now. Your follow-up both takes into account their current financial situation and creative solutions to that, as well as their current lifestyle situation and how you can just add value to whatever they do in their business.
Yeah, and to add to that, I have a prospect that I'm working with that is we had an initial conversation and I was listening, taking notes and all, and I'm a coffee guy. So I like coffee shops. Anywhere I go in the country, I try to find mom and pop coffee shops to hang out in and do some work. So we were talking, she's like, oh yeah, I love my coffee. So I happened to be up the street at one of the coffee spots that I had initially sent her and said, hey, let me shoot this video and walk through this coffee shop and show her how cool this coffee shop was. And I recorded a video and I shot her that video. I was like, hey, I happen to be at this coffee shop. I was thinking about you. Just, circling back. I know you said you love coffee. So once you move down here, this is one of the spots you're going to want to check out. And then I also mentioned that I had gone to I was on my way to get some acai bowls or something. She's like, oh, I love acai bowls. So then I went and sent her a breakdown of acai bowl places that were close and my recommendations from Publix all the way to Playa Bowls. There's like 3 or 4 in there. It's like, here's some really cool places that are in the area once you move here that you can get these so you don't have to try to figure it out on your own. And then when there's events going on, she had mentioned events and things, I sent her those. And the other thing which Nate touched on was zoning. That was one of the things that I was telling her because she missed out on she has to have an N unit. Well, she missed out on one and she was worried about, when's the right time. And I was explaining that they're building this massive mixed use community right up the street. And the average appreciation in the area is pretty high. I didn't say what it was. So there's another thing, like, here's what's happening here. They're building this. This is already started. This is set to finish. This is right around the corner. So now I'm still filling her in with value. Now, this is value based on that. This is value based on that purchase, but it's also a value based on her goals of, having to appreciate. So that's another thing. And then the example we just gave, I know what she did even after this. She sent this guy, he was looking at one building. She sat down and did an interview with the developers, the on-site staff, and the interior designers. Well, she did a video there, was like, hey, by the way, I know you like this place, so just letting you know, here's a video I just shot here just to give you more information, when you're ready. And I told her, I said, okay, well, he's not ready now. He's want us to do some things, but I'm like, ask him if he knows anybody, who else to be interested in South Florida real estate, because he loves you. You guys have been working together, and if you don't ask, you don't know. So if you ask that, like, oh snap, you know what? My business partner, we just closed a deal. He was talking about something. I didn't even think about you. Okay, boom. Now she got something out of it now, or maybe later. But that's the other thing when it comes to checking in. Once you build that rapport with them, and Nate can tell you this because he's gotten referrals from a lot of his top clients just from doing what he told you. That's how you get referrals. I say ask for the referral, but you ask for, hey, who else do you know that would, you're a dope ass client. Who else do you notice like you that, might want to buy in here that I could help? And because they know you and they're feeling you, they'll also refer out as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the key. The key is understanding their whole life, not just the pieces that are going to make you money. And making sure that you understand that whole life is what gives you the deeper relationship, the better rapport that keeps you top of mind when they need something, also when somebody else needs something.
Yeah, so think about, based on what they told you, what would be a logical next step? Listening, listening to what they want and why, their interests. Like, what are they interested in? People will tell you, and I know, Nate, you've got some stories. What are their hobbies? Like, for instance, the foodie, talk about the foodie, we went to Vegas, and actually it was inverse. He gave you a recommendation for a steakhouse in Vegas, but you've given him stuff because you guys had that conversation. So just randomly, just explain how you and Salita do that.
Yeah.
Like, you and
Yeah, well, but I think that's one of the big things that, and anybody who's followed us for a while knows I do this. I want to work with people who want to work with me. And part of that means that we spend a lot of time just talking to them about stuff, right? So if they're foodies, if they're into golf or fly fishing or whatever, once I know that, because I know what they're into, then whenever I'm going places, I ask them for advice or recommendations the same way that they ask me for advice or recommendations. So they're in Miami, they're asking me about steakhouses. They're asking me where they should go for breakfast or something like that. Well, I have a client who's a foodie and he travels a lot. I know he's in Vegas, probably once a quarter. So we were in Vegas and I asked him, hey man, where do you go when you're in Vegas? And he gave me a couple really cool spots, right? And he obviously gave me disclaimers on some of them because he was like, hey, some of these places are kind of expensive. But he's a foodie, so he knew that. And then we had a couple spots that we had been to that he hadn't been to. So when he went back to Vegas, I shot him some recommendations. The goal here is to sort of be able to try to transfer from being a vendor with these clients to them viewing you as a peer, right? Somebody who they can call for advice, somebody who they can ask for insight about stuff. Because if they always feel like every time they talk to you, you're going to try to sell them something, they're going to talk to you very little, or they're only going to talk to you when they need something. And if they only talk to you when they need something, they're going to miss opportunities, and you're probably going to miss opportunities for referrals, and there's no opportunity to deepen that relationship, right? All of us have stories of people who were clients that are now good friends, and I have clients who are good friends with my wife now, but that only happens because you take a meaningful interest in what they're doing. So not just their real estate needs, but their life that frames that need for real estate.
Yep. So one of the main things I say here is just listen and take good notes. But if we're going to wrap it up, listen better, take good notes, track their interests and goals, send relevance. Like Nate said, he'll clip stuff out of the newspaper, would put a card on it and send it in the mail. How often have you sent something to your client in the mail, like a one-on-one? That is something different. And Nate, we didn't talk about Client Giant yet, so I want you to go over that in a second. And just stay useful. Stay useful and relevant. That's the biggest thing. So I forgot to add that nugget there about Client Giant, but you want to kind of explain Client Giant and when you use that and how that works?
Yeah. Client Giant is a very powerful, at least my opinion, it's a very powerful gifting service that I sign all of my clients up for. It's relatively inexpensive. Client Giant, I believe, is about I want to say it's like $150 a year or something like that. But Client Giant sends out quarterly gifts to your clients, very cool gifts, unique gifts with a note from you. So it's another really cool way to stay top of mind with your clients that's automated. Whenever I close a deal, the same day that it closes, I sign that client up for Client Giant. So I know that they're going to get something from me at least once a quarter moving forward. Client Giant is the name of that service. It is huge. It's been transformative for me, and I recommend it to everybody. Client Giant.
All right, cool. So we're at the top of the hour. So if you would like resources from this conversation, question and answers around this content, join the New Home Marketing Insiders. Give you the exact strategy, and we're actually going to have some specific checklist based on this episode where we give you more ideas and how you can leverage this with your current clients and prospects that you've had those conversations with. This is exclusive to New Home Marketing Insiders. And if you want to get the step-by-step on this and go deeper, as well as all of the other resources that we provide weekly, head on over to the New Home Marketing Insiders at theiconicagent.com/insider, or scan this QR code. Make sure that you tell your peers and your people about the the midweek tune-up. That's this call. This is absolutely free. It will always be free. We're giving you the game. You want the next step, you head on over to theiconicagent.com/insider. Nate, you want to take us out, sir?
Thank you for coming out. God bless y'all. Go get the money.
Digital wave we ride, strategies we provide. No need to hide, success is on your side. Close deals like a pro, watch your profits grow. High standards we show.